pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start right off with the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out. Love Student of the Month nights. Very exciting. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. A couple of quick announcements. First of all, I can't believe I'm saying this at this point. Happy Thanksgiving. Looking forward to that next week, and hope everyone enjoys some lovely time with family and friends next week. Next meeting we have on December 5th. Our architect is going to be coming in and giving the board and the public a full update on our capital project for Vision 2020. So that'll be an opportunity to see where we are. Very close to submission for the project to the state for approval. So really coming down to the wire. By the end of December, it should be up at state for review. So very exciting. I also attended a meeting a couple of days ago at IBM that featured Executive Vice President John Kelly. And the exciting part about that meeting was there was a series of educational leaders from the region, and IBM really opened up the pathway and is encouraging dialogue between educational institutions, both K-12 and also post-secondary, so colleges, to start dialoguing on how we can create pathways for children, and actually at that point adults, into the workforce. And really looking forward to that dialogue as we move forward, because there's quite a lot of new opportunities that are coming in the world of STEM education in our schools, and we can see how that might be able to work its way through job opportunities for our youngsters, whether they're high school graduates or if they go on to college programs as well. So very exciting about the possibilities there. So certainly thank you, Mr. Cantone, for drawing some of those connections for us, and we'll see how that develops over time. Two quick updates also from Rose Mealy, a little bit on the bus company progress, and also a seed plant for the board with a 179D program.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. An update on the bus company. We have met with the bus company several times. We've had some concerning issues happening this year in regards to cameras and getting timely referrals. So we are working with the bus company to come up with a more precise procedure to get the information from the bus to the building administrator so that they can appropriately investigate any concerns. We do have a follow-up meeting on Monday, and we are hoping to continue our good relationship and make sure that we iron out all these kinks. In regards to the 179D, it is an IRS tax deduction that is eligible for buildings that put improvements for energy efficiency. Unfortunately, schools, we can't apply for this 179D. However, the designers of some upgrades at the middle school in the last project are eligible for this IRS tax deduction, and they have requested that we give them permission to file for it. In discussions with the attorneys, we can't benefit from it, and they're the only ones who can. The installer didn't want any part of it, so the attorneys will be making their recommendation that we allow the designers of the system to apply for this tax deduction for themselves.
Yeah, so Rose is working with our attorney to get a written recommendation on it that we'll provide for the board, and then we would ask for the board to consider that at our next meeting when we have a little bit more information on it. So it really is a no-cost item for us. Request from the contractor, or actually the designer, to apply for it. Verbally, Dan has recommended it, but we asked for the recommendation in writing for the board. Thank you. And with that, I have nothing else.
Okay, we'll move on to Student of the Month.
Let's start with the middle school. Special day today for the middle school, so we might as well start there. Today was the first day of their essential elements review, so a lot of tired individuals at the middle school, and appreciative that you're here tonight.
Thank you very much. It is our true pleasure to introduce our Student of the Month, Danielle Tacconi. Come on up, Danielle. Danielle is a 7th grade student on the green team. She is a fantastic student, and here to tell you a little bit of why she was selected is her science teacher, Mr. Calandria.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I got a little something prepared, so a couple minutes. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Board of Education meeting tonight. My name is Harrison Calandria, and I'm a first-year teacher teaching 7th grade science at Marlboro Middle School. I'm especially happy to be here tonight because I get to stand up here and talk to you about one of Marlboro Middle School's most outstanding students. Okay? When attempting to write this, I was thinking, how can I condense everything I could say about Danielle into just a couple minutes? It's a lot more difficult than it seems, so here we go. Danielle is here because her team at MMS agreed that she's the most outstanding student in 7th grade, at least for now. You know, things may change, we'll see. I was asked by other members of the green team to pick a student that I thought was deserving of the Student of the Month award, and that was a pretty prestigious honor for me, especially being a first-year teacher. But I immediately thought of Danielle, and her other teachers immediately agreed. So when Danielle found out that she was Student of the Month, she was actually in my class, and they pulled her out to take a picture, and that picture was then posted on our school's website. The following day in class, I actually just put it up on the screen in our classroom to embarrass her, but to also just let her celebrate her success, okay? So I just wanted her to feel good in that moment. Anyway, so what can I say about Danielle? She is unequivocally the best of the students in 7th grade. She's hardworking, bright, intelligent, she's dedicated, and she's also very funny. She easily makes me laugh once a day. But in class, she remains focused, even when distractions are taking place. Okay? She sits in the front in science class, but as I walk around, she's intently focused on either what's on the board or she's intently focused on what I'm saying. So she's not, going to the side, talking to her friends and things like that. So she's just really good in class. So that dedication in science, as well as in all of her other classes, has been proven in her grades and will carry her wherever she wants to go in life. That kind of dedication and work ethic, you can't really teach that. She's got it. She's had a 104 average in my class for the first quarter. Sadly, I can only give her 100. Sorry, parents. I wish I could give her more. But overall, Danielle's a kind person and helpful classmate. She only makes the people around her better, and that's all I can ask for in a student. Side note, really quick story. I mentioned that Danielle was funny, right? First of all, I've only known Danielle since the beginning of September, but we've seemed to gotten along pretty well. About a couple weeks or about a month into the school year, I would greet everyone coming into 9th period science, good afternoon, good afternoon. Danielle would proceed to mock me and go, good afternoon. I'm just like, why are you mocking me? So that persisted for a while. She's backed off on me recently, so I've gained some self-esteem. Anyway, another funny thing about Danielle that just happened recently. She came to visit me, her and a few other students during lunch, and we were reviewing for their quiz that day, and I was asking them questions, and she gets it right, and she goes like this. And then, by the time I realized what she was doing, I had a puzzled look, and then I decided to imitate her, and then she just ends up on the floor laughing, and it was a great time. So now every time I see Danielle, we just kind of do this little back and forth dance. Anyway, to sum this up, I'm very fortunate to teach such a great student in Danielle. Your hard work is appreciated every single day. In the end, I can only hope that Danielle enjoys my class as much as I enjoy having her in class. So congratulations, Danielle. You deserve it more than anyone.
Did you leave the tambourine at the middle school?
Mr. Lawler will move up to the high school.
Thank you. Good evening. This time I'd like to invite up Zachary King, our Student of the Month from Marlboro High School. Also going to invite up Mrs. DeVogel and Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks is going to introduce Zach. I'll say that Zach is always got a huge smile on his face. He says hi to me every morning. Every afternoon he says goodbye. Always friendly. The only flaw you have, sir, is you're a Jet fan. I don't know. Although my team isn't doing so well either. I don't know. I just had to go with it. But you're a very loyal kid. Very happy to have you. Mr. Brooks, the microphone is yours.
The one aspect about Zach that truly stands out is his character, which is demonstrated every day by the amount of respect he shows others. Every day he makes it a point to come say hello to me, no matter where he is, whether he's at lunch, in class, in the halls, no matter where he is, he always says hello. He always asks how my day is going, how my classes are going, and he always wants to talk about the Jets and his other favorite team, the Mets. I think he wants to be general manager because he's always talking about what moves they should make, who they should bench, who they should trade. He's generally a caring individual and selfless person. He always has everyone's best interest in mind. He's always willing to help with whatever I need in class with no hesitation, and he always encourages his peers and classmates to try their best. Zach is very open-minded as he views every task as a learning experience. He enjoys participating in all activities in class, no matter what it is, especially football and weightlifting. It's an honor and a privilege to present Zach with Student of the Month on behalf of the Marlboro High School Phys Ed. Thank you, Zach.
We'd like to congratulate you on this award and thank you for displaying such great character.
Congratulations. Thank you. And Mrs. Walsh will finish up with the elementary school.
Thank you, Superintendent Brooks. Good evening, everyone, and happy November, happy Thanksgiving. It's my pleasure tonight to welcome Marlboro Elementary School Student of the Month, and he is here with his cheering section and large support group. And that includes, if I can mention, his grandma, who is a retired Marlboro kindergarten teacher, Susan Trapani, and grandpa, retired Marlboro PE teacher, Ben Trapani. So welcome back to both of you. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Miss Carly Kowalski, and this is her first ever Student of the Month as a classroom teacher, and I want to thank her teammates, Mrs. Anisha Green, Mr. Frank Taddeo, for coming to support, and introduce you to the man that I first met 8 years ago at St. Luke's Hospital, Marco Silvio Lanzoni. Come on down, sir.
Good evening. Thank you so much, everyone, and congratulations to the other Student of the Month. There are many reasons why I chose Marco, and I felt like he stood out as Student of the Month. He's willing to help anyone in the classroom who needs it. He works hard every day to excel in many areas, including academics. He shows respect for himself and others. He is adding something special to our classroom every single day, as well as the school community. But one thing that really sticks out to me and the quality that I find most impressive in this third grader is his honesty and his ability to stick up for others in the classroom at any time and in any situation. He's an upstander and the true definition of the word, as well as a leader, and most importantly, an amazing friend to all of those around him. And I'm positive that Marco will continue to be an outstanding citizen and prove how lucky we are to have him in the Marlboro community. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful to be your teacher. Or you just take another picture?
Congratulations, Marco. So when we have our time to listen to the characteristics of our students of the month each month, it's so wonderful to hear the accolades, but when you start to read them back, and I take notes on it each time, I want families to pay attention to the next couple of seconds here as I list out some of the characteristics of the children you send us each and every day. They're hardworking, they have character, they're helpful, respectful of self and others, they have a work ethic, they aspire to be general managers. They're thoughtful, kind. They have a focused mentality. They're leaders. They're friends. These are fantastic characteristics of solid, good people. Thank you so much for sending us great people every day. And Danielle and Zachary and Marco, thanks for being great people. Keep doing it. Aspire to great things. I want to make one more last note. Not only does Zach have such wonderful characteristics listed about him, he and I, every time I see him, have a wonderful talk about the weather, because this man is going to be on the Weather Channel one of these days as a weather forecaster, a broadcaster maybe, but man, let me tell you, he follows the weather. When I'm making those decisions at 5 o'clock in the morning to decide on the 2 hour, I know he's up watching the weather too, because as soon as I put that message out, right away that Twitter post gets liked by Zach. So I know he's watching exactly what's going on, and I love that about you, Zach. It's great. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the student representatives report. Jimin?
Thank you, Jimmy. Okay, we'll move on to public comment on the agenda items. Are there any public comment on the agenda items? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Maybe. There it goes. It's slow. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the contracts, agreements, and reports as presented. Personnel recommendations, donations, contracts for LexisNexis, financial reports for November. Can I have a motion? Joanne? Second, Karen? Any discussion? Okay, microphone, please. Towards you.
I have one. I see Mr. Coralano wants to retire. Am I
Pull it close. We can't.
said, I see Mr. Coralano wants to retire. Am I allowed to vote no?
No.
Well, it's not fair. All right, and that was the only comment I had.
Any other comments? Joanne? Karen? John Mara?
Yes.
John Cantone?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And yes, Mr. Cortolano will be sorely missed, and I hope everybody gets a point between now and then to see him and wish him well. We'll be up there to hassle him at the high school for sure. I think on purpose he didn't show up tonight. He doesn't like goodbyes or celebrations. He doesn't like to be the spotlight of anything. So we'll have to find a time to surprise him. Okay, recommended actions. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the memorandum of agreement for the Marlboro Education Administrative Association. They had the title of Director of Special Education to the bargaining unit effective November 8th, 2019, as presented. Can I get a motion? Karen, second. James, any discussion?
I have one. You're only doing A or are you doing both?
Each one of the recommended actions we do individually. Any other discussion on the MOA with the MEAA? Okay, Joanne?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
John Cantone?
Yes.
John Marrow?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Athletic shadowing recommendation. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approve Marlboro varsity wrestling to shadow the Highlands School District varsity wrestling team. Also for the Marlboro varsity boys swimmers to shadow the varsity boys swim team at Newburgh Free Academy for the 2019-2020 school year. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Joanne, and second, Susan. Any discussion? Okay. John Marrow?
Yes.
John Cantone?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Filing of return tax claims 2019-2020. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approve the unpaid tax report for the Marlboro, Plattekill, and Newburgh as presented. Can I have a motion? Joanne, second. James, any discussion?
Could you, I mean, I know you said they're unpaid taxes, but this way everybody knows, that's for both counties, correct?
Both counties were required to file this for anybody that hasn't paid by the closing date so they can get added to their tax bills in January.
Thank you.
Any other questions? John Marrow?
Yes.
John Cantone?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Temporary purchasing agent. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves for the remainder of the 2019-2020 school year, the superintendent to act as or temporarily appoint a purchasing agent in the event that the board-approved purchasing agent is unable to perform the functions of that position. Can I have a motion? Karen, second. James? Any discussion?
This is only in the event that
The one is
is
not there.
unable, right?
Correct, yeah. Joanne?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
John Cantone?
Yes.
John Marrow?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business?
I have a question in light of the purchasing agent and everything that we're doing changing. I'm not sure how to make the motion or whatever, but I'd like to bring the purchasing back down to $10,000 from $50,000 back to $10,000 with everything that's going on. There's just a lot. In our district, we changed our purchasing, which other school districts is $10,000. After that, it normally has to go to board approval. After $10,000, we went up to $50,000 quite a while ago.
That's for budget mods, not for, we don't approve budget transfers. We don't approve.
No, you're wrong, Frank. I was here. I remember when we did this, we
So
went for
if-
$10,000 purchase.
If there's a specific policy in our policy guidelines you want to bring up, you'd have to reference the policy.
Okay.
We don't approve purchases, we approve contracts.
Okay. Well, I know for many years, we would get on our agendas what we were purchasing, how much we were getting purchased, and it had to go through the Board of Education. In other words, if you spent $100,000, it had to come through the board.
We
The
get a
business office has
financial-
a power of $10,000. We gave permission up to $50,000.
The superintendent
That
within,
changes for transfers.
is just for
I know
transfers.
what you're talking about. There was a limit for transfers, anything, it was $10,000 or more were approved by the Board of Education for budget transfers.
Not for
It's at
purchasing.
50, the policy's at 50,000 right now.
That's for budget transfers. Purchasing, the only time the board's involved, we get, everything we purchase is listed in the financial reports we get, but the only thing we do with purchasing is if it requires a contract, but at that point, it's been completed.
But for what you're referring to, Mike, would that be a policy? That's in our policy
It's in our
documents.
policy.
So that's why the board would have been involved in any kind of a vote at whatever point we're being.
It's a required policy to have.
Okay. So then, I guess Joanne, probably can't do it now, but if you really wanted to pursue that, we'd have to bring the policy up, have a
correct.
discussion, and
Right.
see if somebody wanted to change it for whatever reason, but.
And then I have one more question. We did the payroll clerk, we transferred somebody up to the business office to be a payroll clerk temporarily.
Correct.
And how long is that for? Because it left the guidance department short, did it not?
No.
We don't have a substitute in there?
Yes.
Okay, so it's costing us money to bring a substitute in to bring a payroll. So again, how long will the person be at the business office?
I am working on my preparations. The last meeting was when we finished our organizational transfer. I'm working on my preparations, as we had previously discussed, to look at bringing back payroll operations from Sullivan Bosse's. I figured this would be a good meeting to pause a little bit on that discussion. But certainly at the board's direction, I can move much faster once we have some internal dialogue
this is
on that.
because-
So I'm not prepared to do that tonight.
That's fine, like I said,
But-
I just kind of like, because normally when you say temporary, it's only a week or 2 weeks. So it leaves the guidance department short, and now we have to pay a substitute to come in to do her job or his job.
I understand that.
And again, and we just went through with the accountant that was just here saying that we need to really watch what we're spending our money on and how we spend our money. So I'm getting a little nervous because we seem to be hiring.
Please don't get
you know.
nervous. We're
Well,
going to be fine.
I do because, again, this is part of my taxes, and I'm here to represent our community.
I respect it.
And I'm going to look at every penny that we have and how we're spending it. So, we keep hiring all these substitutes to come in, it costs us money.
Yes.
So I think we really need to start looking about the way we're spending our dollars.
Yes.
And how the payroll, now the guidance is short, and now we have
Guidance
somebody
is
up in
not
payroll.
short.
Yeah, that's a misnomer, Joanne. You're saying guidance short. Guidance is not short. That position is filled. There is somebody in there. And this was all figured in when we looked at the dollars and cents of the changes we made. We're not going over what we already had budgeted in the personnel lines.
And I will move as quickly as I can on my recommendation to make the adjustment.
So
But we want you to study it.
We'll discuss that when you want to
We
bring
want
that
to do
back.
it judiciously.
Thank you.
Any other items? Recognition of district residents. We do have a proposed executive session this evening for the collective bargaining negotiations. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, entered into executive session. Can I have a motion? Susan, second. James, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried 7-0. There'll be no action after the board meeting for all of you that are here. So you can go home, and that's almost a record. Thank you, everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Jim, just hold on, you gotta call Mom.